Welcome to podcast 69. 69. Who said 69? Obviously, this is Complete Drivel episode 69, which means 100% of the content, 95% of the content is going to be about penises, and 80% of those penises are going to be stories about my penis. Yep. Wow, you've really reached one of the premiere episodes of this podcast series. Do I want to state my name? Not really, so I won't. This is Complete Drivel. If you haven't become a subscriber, I strongly suggest not really becoming one, and I strongly suggest don't let this podcast be the catalyst to whether or not you subscribe. I would like to say this is an out of the ordinary podcast. I don't often talk about my penis. That's a lie. In the tagline, it just says, I'm 29 and gay and I talk about stuff. When really, I should update it. I should say, I'm 30 and a massive homosexual that always talks about his grinder stories and his junk. So this podcast is traditionally still with the theme of all the other podcasts, except it's number 69. It's number 69. So obviously I have to reflect that by doing only dick chat. Now, last episode I revealed I've recorded a podcast 59, which is not a sexual position. Is that? I could probably turn it into one. It's like almost a sexual position because the 5 almost looks like a 6, except it's not. So that's boring. Stop thinking about it. I have decided, as a special treat, I will play episode 59 on this episode. Oh, that is confusing. Basically, I'm going to release podcast number 59 inside of podcast 69. I realize that sounds funny. I'm releasing it inside of this podcast. It basically sounds like I'm having vigorous anal sex and I'm going to jizz inside of my own podcast. Oh yeah, warning. There should be look. I get some beautiful messages from people. I get some great reviews. Had a couple of 1-star reviews. Anyway, I had a really good 5-star record. This isn't a podcast for children. None of this is a podcast for people under 18. So, you shouldn't be listening to this in the car when you have children. Don't do it. God, there's terrible lessons to be learned on all of the podcasts. Before I play episode 59, your opinion of me will change. Look, it's gonna change. That's fine. I've never been in a relationship. I've always been single. I want it that way. That's not just an excuse. I love living alone. I like being lonely. And so that means I've encountered some situations that are morally questionable. And in that episode, I will reveal those situations. Are very morally questionable, and I am 100% certain they will offend some part of you. And I'm just willing to play it, mainly because I can't be bothered making this any extra long than I have to. So it's like, I think this is a special episode where I'll do a normal length podcast and then I'll play episode 59. The famous episode 59. In the episode I talk about threesomes that I've had, and I also talk about I just don't want to think about it because I will regret playing this story. I think a lot of my close friends have heard this story and their opinions of me were already low, so they didn't seem to be too repulsed by it, at least to my face. But there is a story in there about how I hooked up with this guy repeatedly, and then I found out some shocking information about him that, needless to say, never hooked up with him again. Okay. So in this special episode 69, I want to talk to you about So here's a sexual escapade. Oh, the microphone! Sorry, I just realised the microphone is facing the wrong direction. Hopefully that's clearer now. Is that better? Yeah, who knows. Oh, I'm recording these at home now. I don't record them at work in the fancy $1.5 million studio. So the sound quality is a little bit dull, and I'm also still sick. Okay, so let's kick off the first story. 69 story. I can't disclose lots of information on this one, but I'll just give you the general gist of it. It's about a politician. How juicy is that? Christian, have you hooked up with a politician secretly? Yes, I have. I could get into serious trouble if I reveal too much information. So the only bit of information I'll reveal is that it was with it was with a politician. So I get this message on Grindr, and it's from an anonymous profile, and we're chatting away, and we have a chat. And it carries on for about a year. So I find out information about this person, and they don't really want to reveal much. They tell me that they are heterosexual, but curious. So I was like, oh yeah, that always intrigued. I'm already like, oh, let me show you what I can do. I'll convert you to the dark side. So anyway, we're talking for a year. I was like, oh, I'm putting in all this effort. I'm like, you should just come over and experience the C train. Christian, obviously I'm referring to you there. It's weird. And I got nothing. And then sort of 6 months disappeared, no contact. I'm pretty sure he deleted himself from Grindr. And I heard nothing. Then out of the blue, I get this message from him again, and it was like, hey, I'm keen, let's meet up. And I was like, okay. I was like, oh, send photos, because I've never seen this person. And he was like, I can't do that. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's weird. And he goes, I'm in a public profile. I was like, oh, okay. Public profile. It wasn't a high level public. Oh, can I say that? No. It wasn't. Oh, okay. Let's just gloss over that. Look, see, as I say, you probably won't know the person. You probably won't know them, but they did. They were in government. Anyway, this is such a hard story to tell. We're chatting, find out, never done anything. Comes over, it's quite attractive. I'd never seen them before. I would not have known who they were had they not said who they were. And so they came over, did things, like this guy didn't last long at all. It was just fine. I just put it down to my great skills. And then they left. I was like, yeah, they were attractive, but yeah, great. Well, I got that out of his system, literally. Semen joke. So I was carrying on about my day. Then I noticed in the paper there was an advertisement of the person. Like it was a I actually realised who they were and what. Yeah, and then it dawned on me that they were quite senior, and that's all the information I can give. The story is pretty juicy, right? But I can't give much information away because if you can identify the person from my information, I get sued. So I can't. All I can say is I didn't know who they were going into it, and then I found out who they were after from some advertising. and I realised that they were quite senior. Oh, that story is if I could give you the details, the story would be like, no way, but I can't. And I realised going into that anyway, that wasn't as exciting as I'd hoped, but I can tick secret politician off my bucket list. Someone asked if I'd hooked up with girls. Already answered that. Never. I made out with girls. Were the first people I made out with. Not because I was like, oh, I love girls, but because one offered to teach me how to make out. I was like, yeah, sure. I'm drunk enough. She was hot. I've got, the threesome story will cover off. The married dude. Oh! No, that's for the podcast. The 59. I don't really have... You've already heard about my penis ripping and bleeding during a hot encounter with a really attractive guy when I was in my car. If you haven't, that is podcast number 2 or 3. Read the description of podcast 2 or 3 and it'll be in there, like, oh, my penis ripped. That's a story that you should probably listen to. It's also a video I made on my YouTube channel. Nothing's really a secret. Nothing is a secret. I think did I mention it last episode? Last episode I avoided telling people that I rocked up to this guy's house. Oh, that's a story I can tell. Separate story to what I was just about to say. I was chatting with... Oh, this is what happens when I go home to Sydney... I should reveal that. I'll get on the Grindr and sort of... I'll see people in my local neighbourhood who I didn't realise were of that persuasion. And I'm like, oh my God, they're gay. Like, Grindr is a great place for finding out who you grew up with that's gay, that still like live at home. Years and years ago, I got a message from this guy, and I was chatting. Very attractive, younger than I was. He was about as old as my brothers, and so I go over to his house. His parents are away, and we do said things. And I realised when I was leaving that this was a friend of my brother's, like a good friend of them. But I knew of this person, but I didn't really know them that well. And I just was like, what? And you've got that secret, like you've got this, like, I've just hooked up with a friend of yours. You will never guess who it is. Of course I told them. And I was like, don't tell anyone. I'm pretty sure that wasn't public knowledge. And it was like, it's like mine. It's like, whoa. And then whenever I see them on Grindr, I'm like, you'll never guess who's gay, look. All these people. And then I try and make it my mission. I used to, before I became like Jabba the Hutt, I used to try and make it my mission to do naughty things with them. Because I'm just a massive whore. I am a whore. That is news to nobody. My mother denies that. Oh, have you found anybody yet, Christian? No, Mum. No. My brothers have even started asking me, so do you have a boyfriend? That is the grossest thing. No. I just open Grindr, get what I want, kick them out, sit on the couch in my underwear with a heater on and watch Netflix. That's it. Anyway, I'm going to play episode 59 right now. Thank you so much for tolerating it up until this point. As a disclaimer, okay, as a big disclaimer, I want you to know, I'm not really sorry, I just want you to know I understand that you will be offended a little bit by some of the choices I made. Okay? It involves a married dude with children, is all I'll say. But I didn't know! Okay, I shouldn't yell that. I have neighbours and the windows are paper thin. Anyway, here is episode 59. with the beautiful sound quality of being recorded in a radio studio.
Hello. What? So right before I left the last podcast, I was doing some stuff on GarageBand. Now, which is really going to isolate people that don't have an iPhone. But I discovered GarageBand, you can like do this super cool shit with it, right? Like, that doesn't sound that great. But they've also got this thing, where is it? Let me scroll to it, where you can record your voice and like manipulate it. And it's the greatest thing I've ever done. Voice. Oh, no, I don't want that. Oh, boo. Wait, what? Okay, that's not it. Damn it. Audio recorder strings. Sorry, talk amongst yourselves. I'm also going to talk about in this podcast, which is called Complete Drivel. My name's Christian Hull. I'm going to talk about... God damn it, it's not here. What about live loops? Oh no! Where is it? I want to talk about how I discovered my old laptop, and for some reason, there were a lot of old nude photos of myself on it, and very questionable video. Okay, I found this loopy McDooey sheen. Okay, so you put a little voice in it. Right, so I got that, right? And then you can play it. Oh my god, isn't that great? How do I sustain? I can make a song with my voice. Okay, now, I also discovered you can... Let's loop it. It sounds like I'm in, like, an Indian documentary. Village Roadshow Cinemas present an Indian picture. Like, I was on this for hours. How do I stop this? Okay. And then what I can do, so you can put a beat under it. So let's go and put a, how do I record it in? So much fun! What a song! Anyway, okay, I'm sure that was really boring for you. Oh my god, how do I make it stop? That was so much fun! I can't make it stop. There we go. Okay. That song will be available on iTunes, I'm sure, really soon. It's called Hangnya Mimanamaya. Oh my god, I'm so great. I'm literally going to write a song and then play it. It can be a bit confusing. It's like fun to play with all the instruments, but then it can be sort of difficult to actually write something that resembles music. So, what do I want to talk about? I was talking about, nudes. So I just needed to burp. I'm just going to have a sip of my coffee. Because it's nothing but professionalism here on Complete Drivel. Nudes. So I bought the MacBook Air back in like 2008, 2009. No, it was early. It was like 2007. I don't know. But like 10 years ago, right? The first ever MacBook Air, useless piece of junk, right? It didn't have a CD drive, which at the time was like, what? You don't have a CD drive? How do I do anything? Now, who uses CDs? So I bought this thing and it had one USB port and it just turned out to be a complete waste of money. And I didn't really use much of it other than as a hard drive. It's like it was basically a portable hard drive for me. And a porn machine. It was a machine made for looking at porn. That's literally why I bought it. I don't know why I needed to buy the brand newest model of an Apple piece of hardware that cost me $3,000 to look at $3,000 to look at porn. My God, it's a lot of money. I lived at home at the time, so I didn't have any privacy. The home computer was not a private home computer. I couldn't just take it into my room. It was the size of, the computer was the size of a room. So I bought this laptop, for obvious reasons. And then I moved out of home and started to take photos of myself nude. And I didn't think that I uploaded them anywhere, but I discovered them all on my computer. And just FYI, the photos that I took, this was during a time when I was my thinnest. I was 73 kilos, which is thin, FYI. I had no gut. I look at those photos and go, you know what? Those are good photos. No, I haven't done, oh God, digging a hole. Anyway, so I found these photos and I was like, oh man, I want to look like that again. 30 kilos ago. So I'm scrolling through. I'm like, wow. Whoa. And then some of the stuff I took photos of, I was like, wow, this is confronting. And then there was a .mov file. And I was like, totally want to watch this. So I opened it up. What was on this .mov movie file? Well, I can tell you it didn't involve one person. It involved several people. Didn't involve two either. It involved more than that. I was such a little whore. I totally forgot about what I used to do. And all the memories came flooding back. So this podcast is part of it's dedicated to just some things I used to do as a young 20-something-year-old. And this threesome that I was filming was not consensually filmed. It was like my phone on an angle hidden behind a pillow. What a pervert! What a little pervert I was! Anyway, so it reminded me of my time in Newcastle. So when I lived on Newcastle, this is in the Central Coast. No, South Coast? Central Coast. Oh, my God, my geography skills are on point. So it was basically, I lost my virginity at 22 and I'd moved out of home, I could say a couple of months after that. And so I was like, all this pent up sexualness just flowed all over my bedroom. And I remember I discovered Grindr. There are a few websites that were just solely for the purposes of hooking up with other people nearby. And Newcastle, my God, just so many people hiding their sexuality, and then they they're also massive whores. And so anyway, some aren't hiding. And so I ended up getting invited to this party. And it's the first one I'd ever been to. And I rock up. And of the guy posted, there was 10 people. No, there wasn't. There was 4, including me. And it was a little bit disappointing. And so I went and I was terribly nervous and shy. And the two people hosting it, one, they were a couple. And it was obvious, to me, it was obvious why this couple, who were apparently madly in love, hosted this sort of sex party with me and one other person. It wasn't a sex, it was a foursome. But because this couple, right, one was, oh my God, 10 out of 10. The other was a 0 out of 10. And so I don't understand. Love is love, great, all happy for it. But you can tell that the 10 out of 10 is mate, I could be getting so much dick right now, but we're together. So let's have a sex party so I can experience a lot more attractive people. First of all, they invited me over, so they were desperate. And then we get over there, and then so the other guy that ended up showing up was also really attractive. So there was 4 of us, right? And I was like, no, I know exactly what's going to happen. The 2 attractive guys will go off together, and I'll be stuck with old mate Uggo over here. Now, I was just like, oh, please don't, please. Sure enough, the 2 hot guys go to one end of the room, and I'm just sitting here with this guy, and I'm just like, no, because you just got to follow through. You just have to follow through. So anyway, clothes come off, and I was like, fingers crossed, he's at least hopefully decent in that area. So he takes his top off, and I was like, I was like, shouldn't judge, I know, but I was like thin, and I was going to the gym a lot, and he wasn't. This was my prime time, and here I was, not with the hot people over on the other side of the room. But I couldn't just go and leave him. Anyway, this story makes me so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. Anyway, so he's taking his clothes off. We're taking our clothes off. He takes his pants off. What he was packing was, oh my God, I feel so bad. Was the smallest penis I've ever seen in my life. I was like, literally, I kid you not, I feel so bad for him. It was the size of my pinky finger. Maybe my index finger. No, we'll go with index finger. It was legitimately exactly the size of my index finger. Put two index fingers together. It was maybe a bit thinner than that. And that's what it was. And I was like, what the fuck do you want me to do with that? Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Like, oh my God. Ah! And it's like, you don't want it to come near you. You're like, oh God, get it away. Like, batting it away, spraying pepper spray. And I won't go through the nitty-gritty details of it, but let's just say 3 minutes later, I was over the other side of the room having a great old time. And that's my story of group sex. I never did any. No, I did group. I never did. Oh, God. I always feel really awkward because I forget this is a really public platform that I'm sharing these stories on. I never went to a sex party again. Also, threesomes are shit. Like, they're just boring. It's just so boring. If you're interested in having one, don't do it. It's such a letdown. I've had a few and I'm just like, never have I enjoyed them. They've always just been awful. It just... feeling very sexually frustrated right now. I'm just going to go onto Grindr. Let's go onto the grinds and see if I've got any messages. Dun, 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 dun. This episode is very dick heavy. Lots of dick chat. Dick. My Grindr won't open. God damn it. I'm going to have to reinstall that. Which means I'll lose all my messages. Christian is angry because he hasn't had... in a couple of days. I'm like, I say to people, they're like, oh, have you hooked up recently? I'm like, oh my God, it's been so long. It's been like at least 5 days. And they're like, 5 days? I'm in a relationship. And the last time we had sex was 2 weeks ago. I'm like, oh God, how do you do that? Oh, here we go. Whoa. This guy's profile is called Fun ? Hi, he says. It's only 500 meters away. This guy doesn't have a profile name. It's quite attractive. Anyway, I've still got 8 minutes before I need to wrap this podcast up. Well, what am I going to talk about now? Have I got any other stories for you? Have I got any other? Do I want to share with you this one? I told you about the fireman, didn't I? Where he came to my front door in full uniform. I was like, it's like I'd hired a stripper, but didn't pay for it. Oh, so great. So this is a very, oh God. This one will change your opinion of me. But so when I was in Newcastle again, the horny 20-year-old, I was meeting up with this guy semi-regularly. Maybe like at that stage, I'd met him about 3 times. And of course, like the way he operates, I don't care for names. I don't care for names. I sometimes don't even care for faces. So I knew nothing about him, and we'd only communicated via this sort of chat service, right? So I knew nothing. Obviously, everything was safe. You still ask if they're clean. They always say yes anyway. That's why you have safe sex. But we didn't, I don't like sex. We didn't have sex. It was just a lot of other stuff. So a couple of times go by and, he was just very attractive, very fit with an arm between his legs. And I was at work. Now, I worked for a radio station in Newcastle. And the way the reception is set out is you look at the room. So you've got mirrored doors on entrance, so they can't see into the building, but you can see out of the building. And then there's a reception desk straight in front of the doors. And then over to the left is another sort of separate desk where people can sort of do work, or it's like, I don't know, it's a weird thing and whatever. Now, I was over in the corner at this other sort of reception-y desk with my back to reception. So I hear that I'm doing my thing and I hear this guy come in and he's at reception desk and he's like, oh, hi, I've won some tickets. And I'm like, oh my God, I know that voice. Oh my God, it's the dude. I'm like, I can't let him see me here. I don't want him. I'm freaking out. I'm like, I don't want him to know I'm here. Now, what I'm about to tell you is off-putting. I've got a lot of mums listen. Okay, this stuff happens. Just want to let you know, okay, I wasn't a willing party in the next thing. And I never saw him again after he said this. In fact, I deleted him from my chat and told him that maybe he should have told me what I overheard. So he goes, he says his name. And she goes, oh, what did you win? And he goes, oh my God, are you ready? Oh my God. He goes, this is so bad. Oh, I don't like telling this story. I feel like I've dug a hole. I've won tickets for my wife and 2 children to Walking with Dinosaurs. And at that point I was like, oh, thank God it's not the guy. I said, oh my God, it's definitely not him. It can't be him. This guy's married with 2 children. It's definitely not the guy I've been seeing. He leaves, the door closed. In a complete panic, I run to the door. He can't see me because of the mirror doors. And I look out and I see the same guy. Oh my God. What have I done? Anyway, turns out he was married with 2 children, having a bit of fun on the side. Anyway, that's the most confronted I've ever been. Someone did ask me if I would pee on them, and I was like, oh, I might, but I get really, I'm a nervous weeer. Do you like how I just brush that story off like it's nothing and move on to the next one? I have to do that because it's too awful otherwise. Anyway, so this guy asked me, are you into golden showers? Didn't know what that was at the time, and I was like, oh, it sounds like a restaurant. Nope, it's not a restaurant. And I was like, oh, no, I've never been. And he goes, well, it's not somewhere you go. I'm like, what is it? It's like, it's where you piss on someone or they piss on you. I'm like, oh, is that a thing, is it? Turns out it's a massive thing. And so I was asked, and so this guy came over. And why am I telling such... Anyway, this guy came over and what happened? No, I couldn't. I said no. I can't pee at a urinal. I can't pee in a cubicle if there are other people in the room. How am I going to pee with someone watching me? Anyway, needless to say, I've never done that before. Or no, I won't finish that sentence. Oh my God. Okay. And enough of this podcast. I don't care that it hasn't gone to 20 minutes. Bye, everyone. Please don't review this one. This is a podcast I don't want your review on. Please just skip over this one like nothing ever happened. I'm also probably not going to put the video of this one up. This is just going to be a podcast only piece of audio I will regret in years to come.